We'll call this evening's meeting to order. This is a special city council meeting for Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. Could I have a roll call, please?
Councilman Bempis.
Here.
Councilman Carter.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Davey.
Here.
Mayor Gillis.
Here.
Councilwoman Harris.
Here.
Councilwoman Malcolm.
Here.
Councilman Scarlett.
Here.
Okay.
A moment of silent prayer. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I do want to say real quick, because I know people have said it before, and this evening, to make sure that we put our microphones where people can cross, because a whole bunch of people have said, you guys gotta, we can't hear you. That's all, sorry.
Thank you. All right, good evening, everybody. We are all here today for the city council interviews. On 10/5, the city council approved a program to select this next city council. The applications were due on 9, it was a new city manager, I apologize. The applications were due November 5th. The preliminary hiring crew, which consisted of myself, Mayor Pro Tem Davey, our clerk Lisa Borges, our fire chief Joe Doan, and our treasurer Alicia Bug. We interviewed 4 candidates. Out of the 11 applications we received, we interviewed 4. Out of those 4, we pushed 3 to go to the public interviews. One gentleman backed out within the first week, and Kyle Harris, who we are scheduled to interview tonight, he accepted a job yesterday in Brown City. So he accepted, he had a contract and it was signed in Brown City. At 8:25 last night, we were notified that he would not be coming here today for the interview. Therefore, we have one interview tonight. It is Artie Bryson. We are gonna follow the program that we've already established. Council then can decide what our next steps are after this interview. As we go into public comment tonight, before public comment, I want everybody to remember that this is only one person speaks at a time, because this is a very important meeting and we want to make sure everybody is heard. So we won't speak during your public comment, so please don't anybody speak during the interview process. Our candidate is in the back room. We will bring him out at the time it comes for interview. So at this point, we will open public comment. Would anybody like to speak before the council? All right, seeing no one, Ms. Borges, could you?
Yeah, but she
You know, since that seems to be the
she
thing.
came from the city. Wow, so.
Stop. It's the last time we were here. I got an AAP.
There's a lot of, yeah.
We also have our city attorney here this evening if anybody has any questions. Mr. Downey,
Yeah,
thank you for
somewhere
coming.
down there, yeah.
Wow.
Welcome, Mr. Bryson.
Thank you.
How this is going to work, we have some questions here. We're gonna start with Councilwoman Meldrum, when we're each gonna ask you a question, and then we're gonna go back around, ask you another question, and then council is gonna have time to ask you individual questions.
Fire away.
Mr. Bryson.
Thank you.
Mrs.
First question, briefly describe your employment history and qualification, and why do you want to be the next city manager?
Oh, boy, well, employment history, I worked at Oldsmobile for a while, and, when I was converting the just-in-time inventory. From there, I was at Champions Auto Ferry, ran that, I think, for about 6-7 years. From there, I started the boat restaurant, I don't know if any of you remember that, and ran that 7 or 8 years, and sold it. Went down to Florida, went back to school, got a second degree in computer science, and ended up working at Piper Aircraft. It was interesting there, I was hired in as a computer tech, you know, making $15 an hour, and about a year and a half later, I was running the whole department. Worked out well, and, from there, moved around a little bit, but basically I started my own computer company up here called AV Computer Solutions, and, sold that to employees and became, Clay Township Supervisor for 12 years.
Thank you.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
why do I wanna be?
Yeah, thank you, yeah, why do you want to be
Okay,
our city manager?
thank you. You know, I've had offers from other cities. Dundee, Lexington, Marlette, Croswell, Odessa, Gibraltar, Saline. I either withdrew or turned it down. To me, there was just like a job. Some of them pretty good. I mean, Dundee, they offered me $140,000. And, turned it down. It's not about the money. It's about the job here. Elginak is in my DNA. Literally it is. My great-grandfather founded Elginak Savings Bank. I don't know if anyone remembers my uncle, John Townsend. You know, he had several businesses here in town, and he was the mayor, and I think my Aunt Tony Townsend was too. I know she was on council. My dad started the first marina where Elginak Harbor Club is. It was called Delta Harbor, and I was, I think, in 5th grade, and I was pulling out the, I wish I would've saved the chunk, the assembly lines in the plant, to rip them out, to make room to store boats, you know, and like I say, Elginak and this community, it's in my DNA. My family lives here, you know, my friends live here, and I truly care about it, and I'm very passionate about it, and I am a muskrat. So, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Mr. Bryson. Sorry, I'm just taking notes. No, we all know you well, you know us, but, we are gonna ask some tough questions. It's not personal, it's
Good.
business, so, please don't take anything personal. I'm gonna start with, describe a high-profile public issue that you were involved in, like a contentious rezoning or controversial new ordinance. What was the outcome, and what would you do again? Or would you do it again, or would you do it differently?
High profile issue, is it?
Yes. Or it can be project, issue, whatever you feel comfortable talking about.
Sure. Shortly after I became supervisor in, Clay, you know, I'm a numbers guy, I dove into the books. And I saw that, we had a clerk that was embezzling money. And I was very new to the, you know, being in front of the public and responsible. And it was very hard because, you know, she was confronted, she basically quit going to work, and, but we had an investigation going on. I had to call the Department of Treasury, they referred me to Bill Schutte, the Attorney General at the time for Michigan. And, we had the Michigan State Police doing the investigation. And people were saying, what's going on with, I couldn't say anything to anybody. And, you know, they were looking at me like, what did you do? And everything through that whole process. It was very tough and emotional too, because it was a very serious issue. Later she was found, or she admitted to it, she was guilty and went to prison or jail for a year. What I would do differently, it's hard to say. It's the first time where I had like a gag order, you know, I couldn't say anything. I did get our prosecutor, Mike Wendling, to come down and tell everybody, look, there's an investigation going on and Artie and that nobody else can comment on it. But, you know, that was very difficult. Does that answer your question?
It sure does.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Yep.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Describe your experience in mechanics of budgeting, budget presentation, and monitoring the budget. The city of Algonac budget is about $10 million. What was the size of the budget you managed previously?
Clay's was about 17 million. And I know per your city charter that I have to present a budget for your approval the first week or first meeting in April. Which means whoever gets this position is gonna have to start the budget process soon. And it is a process. You know, I definitely have to dive into it myself and look at the situations. I would be getting feedback from you, the department heads, on what you would like to see in it, and, you know, to formalize a budget, you have to prioritize what's more important, and, to see, you know, what makes the list, what doesn't, or, you know, what, maybe we can come back and look at it, maybe we can subsidize it with some grant money or something. It's a long process, and once it's approved, you just don't throw it on the shelf and let it collect dust for a year. You know, it's a living document, and you have to refer to it all the time, all the expenses you approve and everything needs to be reflected in the budget, and sometimes things change, as we all know, and you have to modify or amend the budget, you know, going forward. I believe in the budget process. You know, we all like to do everything and all at once and stuff, but you have to do it within the limitations of the budget too. So I'm a strong believer of the budgeting the budget.
Thank you.
Yep.
Algonac employees serve a community of 4,200 people, with 15 full-time and multiple part-time and contractual staffed. We currently have a cohesive, united team that works well together. What is the largest number of employees you've ever been responsible for? And what are you going to do to ensure that this group continues as committed, motivated, high-performance team?
Good question. I think the most staff I've had was about 60 to 70 people at one time. You have to develop a good relationship with employees. I say good relationship, you have to know, you know, what motivates them and basically, you know, I say, what's their jam, you know, what do they like? It's important because when issues come up or things come up, you know what to do to help them out. I have always had a good rapport with employees under me. You should go and talk to any of the employees, I beg you, over in Clay Township. You know, talk to any of the police, the water departments, or whatever. I'm open and honest, you have to be consistent and fair with employees at all times. You can't show favoritism for one to another, that's very important. Consistency and, and you have to know what motivates them, like I say, what's their jams. You know, some people it's all about money, for other people it's about other things. And, it's nice when, if they do something good, one of my things I love to say, I praise in public, I punish in private. And I will set expectations to every employee that's here. I'll set expectations. I will show them how their job fits in the big picture, so they can feel value in their job, which is important. And, and why they need to show up to work every day, basically. I believe most people wanna do a good job, and most people, especially in municipalities, they like helping people, and they have ample chance to do that. You have to give them the right tools to do that. That's very important. It could be, you know, training or, you know, software program, whatever. They need the right tools to make them successful. And let's face it, if our employees are successful, the town is successful. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
In a small community, the city manager wears many hats and should have a working knowledge of each department. Describe what city departments you have worked with and how you have worked together and supported them.
With Elginak or others?
Others.
Others are
Okay, well, I've worked with I've been in Clay Township. I'm a hands-on kind of guy. You know, I'll do what needs to be done in the office, but, you know, you'll see me out in the field probably more than any other city manager you ever had. I'll know what's going on in every department, you know, like daily. And, say if there's a contractor doing a job here, you know, every day I'll probably go and see the contract, see the job, how they're going, talk to the inspector, talk to the foreman, and make sure if there's any problems or not, so we can head them off quick. I'll know what's, everything that's going on in all the departments. I've had, in times, you know, I acted as the clerk for Clay Township. I've acted as the treasurer in Clay Township. We had a little while where we had an absent treasurer. You know, I know the building departments well and how they work, assessing, I go right down the gamut. So I would say I have a good handle and understanding of all aspects. Police, fire. Good?
How you work together with them.
Oh, great. I mean, like I say, I challenge anyone to go talk to any of the employees, you know. And another thing too is, like, the department heads, they knew I had their back. And if there's a problem, you know, communication is important. And if they see something wrong or they made a mistake, I want them to be honest and come to me and to see what it is. And I'll use that as a teaching moment and a learning moment. Okay, well, how can we fix it? This is what we have to do to fix it. What can we do so it doesn't happen again? And that works well, and they'll see that in my experience, and they'll become very comfortable and faithful, really.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hi, Artie.
Hi.
Describe a project that you collaborated on with a neighboring community.
Oh, let's see, how many? Several. With we're doing, in Clay Township, did the, sewer interceptor, and that was half IRA, because half of their fluids fall through it, even though it was in Clay Township. And, we put together the SUMA, the authority, with IRA, Clay, and Algonac. We've done grants for fire equipment with, Marine City, Clay, and IRA. I'm not sure if Algonac was in one of them or not. I get along great with the neighboring communities, and, you know, I know their department heads, and, you know, I know them well. So does that answer your
Yes,
question?
it does, thank you.
Yep.
Good evening. There's a wastewater treatment plant in the city of Algonac serving Algonac, Clay Township, Ira Township. There's also a water treatment plant in the city of Algonac serving Algonac and Clay Township. Describe an experience or an involvement you had with the management of the wastewater treatment or the water treatment plant.
Both of them. I know those plants fairly well. I remember there was an issue, they were doing a software update on the SCADA program in the Elginak plant. And they were gonna start it at, 8 in the morning. And, I begged the guys, you know, the contractors, why don't you start it later in the middle of the night, or, you know, at 8 o'clock at night or so, gives you 12 more hours. No, we know what they're doing. Well, I got a phone call, in fact, I was just leaving for vacation, literally leaving to, on a vacation, and the phone rang, and it was Lance, the head of the water department in Clay. He goes, hey, I'm at the water plant, we have a problem. Okay, so I went there at 4 in the morning, and I've been in a position, I know what, you know, I've done software updates and things on big systems. And I could tell by the look of their face, it's not going well. So I told them, well, okay, why don't we grab the backup and go backwards and, you know, put it back the way it was and start fresh a new day. We don't have a backup. I about popped a nut. And, so I composed myself, okay, well, let's work the problem out. And I was working with them on it. And, we did get, and then I told, the manager of the water plant, we have to have a plan. Because if this isn't working, at what time are we gonna tell people, hey, there's an issue, we can't make water? At what time are we going to, you know, turn the water off for everybody? You know, we gotta have a step of plans right now, so we don't have to react as they come to us, you know? And, so we kinda put that together. Cause you can't let the water pipes go empty, that's a real big problem. And then, so we were able to get one bank of the 3 banks, there's 3 banks in your water plant of nano filters. We got one bank working, and, that was about 7 AM because, you know, at 7, you know, everyone flushes toilets and takes showers and everything. So we were actually gaining on it at 7 AM. And, then, right about then, I did leave for my vacation. I was about 3 hours late, but okay. And, I was in contact the whole time, phone, and, they were able to get 2 of the 3 banks going by the end of the day, and they were running okay. But, I was really kinda upset because the manager of the water plant wasn't there. You know, he scheduled this when he was out of town, he's no longer the manager. I mean, the whole thing, I would've done it differently, believe me, you know? But, hey, I got through it, so. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
For the, you want, I mean, I know sewer too.
Yeah. Sewer as well?
Yeah.
We can answer sewer?
Well, yeah, I mean, there, you know, we all know there's a problem with, you know, rainwater and stuff getting in our system. And, it's come close to where, you know, it was gonna become a big problem, but, you know, to their credit, they never had to do an overfill, overflow, or anything like that, especially during the high water of like 2020, 21. I mean, it was crazy, you know, we had streets underwater, literally streets, you know, I don't have to tell you. And it was very challenging there. We had a big rain and stuff, well, okay, we're slamming the plant. Let's slow down the flow, we can not stop it, we can slow down the flow to the plant to give it some breathing room and, get it through the tough spot. And we literally did that, kinda, the valves a little bit to slow it down to half or so, and give them some breathing room like that. The sewage plant, the team that's in there, they do a great job of running it. I'll take anybody in that sewer plant without announcement and walk you through, you will not find a spider web even, and it is immaculate, and they take a lot of pride in their job there. But with how the county was running, let's face it, they didn't do a whole lot of capital improvements or anything, so they're a little bit behind the 8 ball. I have a good understanding of many different types of sewage treatments now, and, I have crack engineers in fact, Marina City, they called me up last winter. Hey Artie, can you have your guys look at our sewage plant and give us some recommendations? So I did, and, we had, you know, these 3 engineers, yeah, you can do this and that and this, and, you know, you can try that, and that would, you know, they implemented some of them there. And some of the things you can do, it doesn't cost a whole lot of money either. But yeah, Brian Roy and the crew there, I mean, they do a great job, and, we're lucky to have them.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep. Whose turn?
My turn. Let's see, I'm number 8, right?
Yes.
Correct.
What success have you had in locating, writing, and attaining grants of various projects?
Well, at Clay, I mean, I posted, you know, and I think I sent you a worksheet.
Yeah, we've seen them all.
I've gotten over $20 million of grants, and, I've helped other communities with them. I helped St. Clair County get grants, that's not on the list, you know, for the park here. I helped them get 3 acquisition grants, for the DNR and things like that. I'm very well versed in it. I think, and knock on wood, I don't know why, I got a gift for it, and, I got about a 65–70% success rate on writing grants. And grants are very important. You really need, this outside money to come in to leverage projects. Without it, you know, we have 4,200 people, right? They can't pay for it all.
No.
There's just no way, it's impossible. And every town our size has that problem. relationships with Eagle, the DNR, SEMCOG, and other entities that do these grants. And another thing which a lot of people overlook is grants and funding from the private industry. You can get monies for different projects from DTE, from SEMCO, and other private industries, you know. You gotta think, okay, if we did this, what companies, where would we have a win-win relationship with the company? And would they help us to do this? And you gotta ask, you know, if you don't ask. And, a lot of times they're like, wow, that's cool, and they'll partner up with you.
You're very lucky you didn't say.
I'm not saying the F
See?
word.
See, he knows he's not supposed to say that. 'Cause
Tell us about your experience creating, administrating, and implementing ordinances.
Ordinances, well, we've, created a bunch of them and implement. You don't want to create an ordinance that you're not gonna enforce. And if there's ordinances that aren't being enforced, the ordinances need to be changed. I'll say that right now. Creating an ordinance, you know, you have an idea, you get together, you see, grab like ordinances from other communities, you know, and see how they're handling it. Then you turn it over to legal and, get their opinion and get the opinion on whoever's gonna be enforcing. Is it gonna be a police? Is it gonna be our zoning, person? And see, you gotta have buy-in by everybody. And then, most important, you have to communicate to the public how it's going to affect them. You know, there's a lot of times where we do stuff and we don't relate the policy to the public and how it affects them every day, you know, daily and everything else. And once that's communicated and there's buy-in with the public, it's no brainer. But that's basically the steps you have to do. Did I answer your question?
You did, but I'd like to follow up. It's not on our sheet, but
Sure.
it's important to me. You know, I'm in a very limited government role in the public. Have you had the opportunity to eliminate any ordinances as township supervisor? Right?
Oh, yeah, we've gotten rid of some and or changed. Mostly in the building part of it, you know. Before they had you know, what is your view? And in Clay, they had a 45-degree angle, your view. Well, the Supreme Court knocked that down because they didn't want, they said it's against the law for a property owner to control the other properties, you know, and that ordinance allowed them to do that. So we had to change it, and, with, okay, your view's straight ahead, 90 degrees, and then we tweaked it, on the setbacks to make sure that it jives with, the community and it works well with, you know, you don't want people that, you know, being intrusive. Ordinances are tough. You gotta look at all aspects, and you gotta look for the unintended consequences. And, they happen, you know, so, you know, sometimes you gotta tweak them too. Like in Clay, I had a gal and 10-year-old girl write me the cutest letter saying, Mr. Bryson, I want chickens. And, you know, it went viral, the story, and I said, okay, you know what, Audrey, you're right. You should be able to have 6 chickens. But I made it a project through the school where they petitioned the planning commission and went through it and did the whole process. And we made it a school project and got it and passed it, you know. And, we had to tweak it a little bit, you know, we put in there no roosters. We didn't have too many problems, but then some people did have, you know, you buy your chickens, you don't know what they are. And, oh, I got a rooster, but I'm attached to them. You know, I couldn't tell them to make soup, you know, they're great in soup. So, you know, we allowed them to put a choker on their throat, so they can't crow. I didn't know it existed, but we did some research, and, you know, cause that's the problem with roosters, they crow, and they make noise, it's a nuisance. So you gotta put this ring on them, and hopefully that works, so.
I just got a
Thank
little
you.
worried right now. Okay.
What, do you need a choker?
You're not allowed, you're not allowed.
Sometimes, yeah.
You're just supposed to sit there, only speak when, yeah. Okay then,
John's gonna be asking for that wrist ring.
okey dokey. Yeah, he's gonna get that
Let's
out.
get on track.
Okay, describe your management style. Do you prefer to maintain the status quo, or do you like change? And, I got a couple more there written down here. Are you available after hours or only during business hours? Do you have an open door policy that, or do you prefer that visitors make appointments? And how do you collaborate with department heads?
Okay, one at a time, change,
Yeah, I figured we'll go back through this.
I
so you're-
thrive on change. You know, change should be the only thing that's status quo. And you just gotta make sure it's changed for the better. I'm the type of person, if someone says, hey, let's do this, you know, I don't say why, I say why not? And figure out why, you know, the pluses and minuses, and make a data-driven, decision. But change just for the sake of change isn't good, but, you know, a change to improve things and to, you know, go forward, and sometimes it doesn't work, and you can't be afraid to go backwards. You know what, it didn't work out, we tried, you know, let's go back. Does that answer your change question?
Yes, it does. I'll help you out here. We'll go to the next one.
Okay.
Are you available after hours or only during business hours?
I'm 24/7, hands-on, on deck, or hands-on. And I'll tell you this, I'm sure I'll be the only city manager that will tell you that I will forward my office phone to my cell phone. And ask Janice, I think she's back there.
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah.
My,
Oh, it's on the phone.
my phone would ring, you know, and they, well, I expected to get an answering machine. I goes, well, you want me to beep and hang up? You know, and, so it's 24/7. And, you know, I love it, I'll be at the grocery store in Kroger or out in public, and, which you all know, I'm out a lot. And, someone will come up to me, hey, Artie, I got a question, I know you're not working, but I just got one question. I go, man, no problem. You know, I want them to talk to us. And, it's funny, after their third question, I usually say, did you get to that first your question yet? You know, and they laugh and everything. But no, it's, I'm very available.
Do you have an open door policy, or would you prefer that visitors make appointments?
Open door. In fact, you could probably take that door off the hinges.
Okay. You don't look around and, no.
But, no, it's very open door, and it's important to be available and, act accessible. And even like if someone calls me, if I can't answer the phone, you know, I'll get back to them soon.
Yes.
And when you're talking to people, you really have to listen to what they're telling you and, be very mindful of it. And you just can't listen to them, blah, 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 hang up the phone or whatever and go on. They usually expect to have some kind of a, response or action by the city or anything. Or if you can't, you have to give them a reason why not.
And how do you collaborate with department heads?
Oh, very well. We communicate very well, I do. Like I say, I challenge any of them, go talk to the department heads in Clay. They're not afraid to call me at 4 in the morning, I'm not afraid to call them at 4 in the morning. If things come up. I set expectations and with all employees, but I set expectations, and if there's a problem where they don't think they're gonna be able to make it, there's some kind of issue, I expect them to come to me and find out, hey, okay, we have this problem, okay, well, let's think, how can we solve it? And what do we have to do to solve it? And go forward. And that's very important, so. And I will tell the department heads too, don't hide anything from me. Even if it's bad news, if you screwed up, I need to know. And say someone, messed up, hey, I screwed up, Arnie, this happened, and because of that, we have this situation. Okay, that's fair. Thank you for coming to me and telling me, and then we'll work the problem out. And I probably use it as a coaching or a teaching moment. What can we do? What do we have to do so it doesn't happen again?
Thank you.
Is that all of them?
Yep, I'm looking again, and yes, that's all. Thank you.
How come she gets more?
How,
I don't-
you don't act
I'm
lucky.
not sure.
You don't get to ask questions, you stop.
So this is one that I think we've all had to be through, any of us even who stood up here. Describe a time when you had to move forward with the right decision, even though it was hard and status quo would have been much easier.
Lots of times, lots of things. I will tell you this. Many times, when you have to make a decision, doing the right thing is not the popular thing. And you guys, myself, you have to be bold enough to do the right decision, period. And when that comes up, you have to do your research, have data to back up the decision. Why is it the right decision? Taxes. Nobody likes to pay taxes. No, let's back it up. Water rates, okay? Everyone thinks water should be free, right? I mean, that's the popular thing, I don't want to pay any more for water. I agree, 100%, that's the popular thing. But is it the right thing? Because you have to be mindful for sustainability and and the long term. For infrastructure issues, you shouldn't be looking for, what's the quick remedy for this, in the short term. You have to be looking long term, and I'm not saying 5 years, I'm saying 20 years down the road. And, and that's a prime example. The problem is, you have to communicate, you have to have all the data, and communicate it well. And, most people will say, yeah, I don't like paying higher water rates. I mean, let's face it, who the hell does? I don't like paying higher water rates, but I understand, why it's needed. And, and what's driving it. And so I understand the why. I may not like it, but I understand why. And that has to be communicated in advance and very well. So data-driven decisions are very important.
All right, could you describe a time that you had to move forward with the right decision?
I'm sure I can, let me think of something. Can I phone a friend? The right decision, you know, we had to bump up taxes a little bit for our police and fire at different times over in Clay. You know, and it's the same situation. No one likes to pay higher taxes. But it's all how it's communicated, and that's the important part of it. You know, you have to get out in the community and say, hey, you know what? You know, either we bump the taxes up, and I would say, okay, in this particular case, okay, we're going up $250,000. You have a $200,000 house, assessed at $100,000, it's gonna cost you $25 a year. That's how it affects you personally. You know, the policy with people, you gotta make that connection. That's how it affects you personally. If we don't do it, okay, these are the cuts we're gonna have to make. And in the long run, these cuts are gonna affect you, maybe not today or tomorrow, but in the long run, these cuts are going to affect you in one way or manner that it's gonna be a lot more than the $25 a year. Especially with public safety, you know, let's face it, when someone calls 911, they're not having a good day. I mean, they're having a rotten day, and they expect, you know, whatever the issue is, to have it handled promptly and professionally and in the right manner. And, you know, so with public safety and that, I feel very strong about public safety, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Local nonprofits are active and important part in our community. What community service organizations have you belonged to in the past? How would you engage with Algonac community groups?
I'm in the Algonac Rotary Club. I've engaged with, Algonac Lions, Pearl Beach Lions, Harson's Island Lions, VFW, Valor, different church groups. I try to go to all their a lot of their fundraisers, because I have fun at them. The Historical Society, great, and Algonac is blessed because we really have some very good civic, nonprofits, you know, civic groups. We're very blessed. And, like I say, I know them all already. I have relationships with them. If they need something, I'm sure they won't hesitate to call me up. Or if I had an idea where maybe they can help the community, boy, I'd be calling them up and saying, hey, I got an idea, what do you think? You know, did that answer your question?
Yes.
I know you've helped us out at the Ark, and we're not local.
Huh?
You've helped us out for the Ark a few times, and the Ark isn't local.
I consider the Ark local.
Thank you. Thank you.
Describe a situation where you had to handle a social media crisis, and how did you manage the situation to protect the organization's reputation?
There's no issues on social media. You know, social media, it's a love-hate thing. And, as the ideas are presented with truthful facts, and, they, there's no personal attacks, and people are respectful. It could be a useful tool. But unfortunately, in our day and age, that goes south real quick. And, sometimes, you know, you either have to pull back on doing the commenting on social media, depends on who it is, I might contact them in private individually. And sometimes, you know, you just gotta drop back 7 yards and punt, because there's no resolution. And that's an unfortunate, sad thing, but we all know it happens. The city's gotta be, you know, very concise, accurate, and level-headed on social media. And, you know, I welcome other ideas and new ideas. That's how you kinda grow and get other, you know, move forward through issues. But that's, I guess that's how I'd answer that question. You can't please everybody, especially on social media.
For the last one, how would you approach using your personal social media accounts in a way that aligns with your role as city manager and maintains a positive public image?
I like advertising events, for all the charities in town, and city events. And, you know, you just gotta be careful what you say, and you gotta do it in a professional manner. Like I say, it can be a very good tool, but, if it goes south, you know, you can react somewhat limited with facts, but then, you know, it gets to the point where say, no, you're lying. You know, you can't argue that when you know you're not lying. You know, and that type of thing. So, you know, at that point, personally, I just disengage and take it from there. But, yeah, it's a love-hate, relationship.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
At this time, we will go through and let council ask individual questions.
Sure.
We'll start with you, Councilman Belgium.
Am I limited to how many I can ask?
No.
Mr. Bryson, you know, you've been a longtime resident of Clay. You lived in St. Clair County your whole life. And I know that you've been part of our community. So as you know, that Algonac and Clay have built a great relationship over the years. You and Denise have come together. You've shared resources, common goals, collaboration on events. How do you plan to continue that relationship?
When I first became, Clay Township Supervisor, Algonac was suing, Clay Township. You remember that, Jimmy? And it was under 2 different supervisors, and I think 2 different city managers. I'm like, what the hell? So I dove into it, read it all, and did some research on the issues and everything. It was over this water tower, maintenance agreement that Algonac signed without Clay's permission. And I said, this isn't good. So, and not the fact that it was just signed, it was a bad deal at the time. And I called a meeting actually with Jim, the city manager at the time, 2 or 3 council members. I remember Helen Meldrum and Joe Nugent there. I can't remember who else was there.
Right.
It was all Algonac people and just myself and John DeBoyer. And we told them why we, you know, Elginak was trying to collect like $200,000 from Clay. And you guys were suing us, okay, this is wild. I called the meeting, we sat down, in fact, we had an off-site location, I think it was upstairs in the senior house. That's a nice room up there. He goes, let's have it off-site, so we can sit down and talk about it, and they brought a guy in from this tank manufacturer, and we explained to the council members and everybody why we thought it was a bad deal. And the guy from the tank company, I think he actually walked out. He couldn't defend himself. From that, okay, where are we at? And we came up, by the time we had a resolution all ready to go. And Jim, oversaw it, let's get the quotes for, other work that was being done for these tanks, other communities, and see what the bid price was. And Clay will pay its share of that. I think that's what we ended up doing, wasn't it?
Yes.
And said, okay, then, I'm kind of an aggressive guy, and I'll be the same for Elginak. I said, okay, well, I don't have any reassurance that they're working, the work that was done was good. And so we had them inspected by a third party, I think it was Nelson Tank. And, Flint, right. And they were all failing. So it was Elginak's responsibility to bring them up to standard to where they should be, and then Clay would pay its share. So, what was the question? How did I get on?
The question was, how are you gonna continue the relationship that
Oh,
you've
yeah.
been Denise
So-
and
so-
Reagan with the current administration
So,
in place at Clay?
My point is, we had this tough situation, and we came to a really good workable agreement, and we were fine ever since then.
Do you think your relationship and the agreements that we have right now with Clay Township, do you think that is still a workable agreement? I mean, with the relationships that were created by?
100%.
Okay,
If I had to, I'd take something to the board,
okay.
Clay. And I'm not afraid of doing that.
As we know that you've been the supervisor in Clay for, 12 years, $17 million budget, and you're well diverse probably in the budget and numbers and where we should be. So, I know that was mentioned about, bringing council together more, as to have more budget workshops, not just one meeting, but have more of a budget workshop. When it comes to the budget itself, would you ever present to council a budget that's in the negative? And if it was in the negative because of the factual numbers, would there be a good explanation of how we got there?
Unbalanced budget, you mean?
Well, let's just use our,
Or a budget that you have to use fund balance?
yes, I would say.
Okay, a budget you have to use fund balance. I mean, sometimes if you have a planned project and you've been saving for it, to do it, yeah, you have to, you go on
Okay.
fund balance to pull that off. And all you people would know about it way before, because, this isn't something that we just, hey, we're gonna spend this money, and, I'll tell you what, you're all, if you hire me, you'll be getting a email in a couple of weeks or beginning of January. What do you wanna see in the budget? What priorities do you have going forward? So to give me an idea of what to work for and what to work on. And see if we can make it work. My job is to take direction from you guys. My job isn't to direct you, my job is to take direction. My job is to give you all the data and knowledge you need to make the right decisions.
So So just another question, cause you know, you presented us with this really incredible blueprint for redeveloping.
Oh, did you like it?
I did.
Okay.
So in order to get there though, as you're aware, our water and sewer, our infrastructure is critical,
Mhm.
right? And we know that's gotta come first, right? So it's been noted back in May that the city in March of 2025 just learned of its cash position, of where we really stood as far as budget numbers go. So when you talk about rebuilding the city, the riverfront, whatever, how does the infrastructure play into your plans?
Everything is predicated on the budget. So you can't spend money that's not in the budget or accounted for, period. That being said, like you mentioned the riverfront, I haven't seen it, but I believe there's a quote for, what is it, $3.5 million to redo the boardwalk?
4 million, I believe.
4 million? Well, I think I can do it for $600,000 to $800,000 and do it in-house. You know, we'll do 150 feet at a time. I mean, there's more than one way of skinning a cat. And, I think out of the box a lot and come up with diverse solutions that you will see. Infrastructure is a big deal in Alabama, and it's definitely a challenge. You know, we're gonna have to look at, you know, what's the best solutions and, you know, you could fix it really quick and spend a lot of money, or you can do it over time. You know, there's things you gotta balance out on how it's done. It's gonna be a challenge, but, you know, I'm pretty good at, you know, there's monies available to help with infrastructure too. If not all out grants, there's low interest or zero interest loans that are available. Marine City just got a couple. And, I have no issue aggressively, I plan on aggressively going after those dollars. One thing, let's talk about sewer for a little bit.
Yeah.
I've been in Clay Township for 12 years and talking on issues. Now, at Clay Township, we have a sewer interceptor that needs to be rebuilt. And half the, we'll call it fluids, half the fluids going through it is from IRA. So I negotiated that, okay, IRA, you're getting a benefit from this, from Clay for rebuilding our interceptor. So IRA's paying for half of that project, rightly so, they're getting the benefit. Now, I never heard one word talk about the interceptor in Algonac that's carrying, sewage, fluids from North Clay Township. And so I would expect that I would figure out what that percentage is, I don't know, 7-8%, I'm just guessing. I'd get those numbers, and I'd talk to Clay Township, you know, Clay's getting a benefit from this work being done in Algonac, and you're gonna have to pay your share, whatever it is. And, I've never, that discussion's never come up before.
Right.
So,
And you-
what's
Are you
that?
aware that, cause our waste treatment plant's gonna need a overhaul probably too as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
They, on that, you know, of course, you know, the guys at the sewer plant, they want it done yesterday.
Right.
And, you know, right now, we have low water and we don't have too many issues. We do get an issue when we have a really large rain. And it's just not Algonac, it's Clay, it's Ira, it's all three. And, you know, they're looking at doing a overflow tank. It would help them out quite a bit. You know, of course, they want it done next year. You know, we've gotten 60 years without a drop of overflow going into the river. And like I say, we're experiencing low water. We are going to be for a while. Next year, we're gonna be 4 inches lower next summer than we were this summer. So it can be put off a year or two and done right. Did I answer your question?
It does, I have one more, I have a few more, but we'll just go with one more. As looking, you know, outside looking in, and you've been part of our community, what do you think the city's biggest challenges are? The city of Algonac, if you were given the opportunity for this position.
Algonac has a lot of potential.
You know, like our challenges, or what do you see?
Yeah,
Okay.
you know, I tend to change challenges into opportunities. Like I said, I gave you a 14-point plan to bring new business into this town. And it's all gotta be done within the budget process. But, you know, businesses, you know, we gotta work on retention and bringing in new business. We have to work on lowering our costs or providing better services for what we are charging now. That's an ongoing issue. It should be with any municipality. And you know, I'd love it so we can get more people working here, so they can start more people living here, and that type of thing. And, you know, people are looking for things to do in events. And, we don't have to provide everything, but, I've been doing a lot of work and research on what has worked with revitalizing towns post-COVID, because we're in a new world. And in fact, I wrote it down here, the nationwide trend since COVID, waterfront activities and activations of events on waterfront is the #1 economic catalyst for all small towns across the country. We have the best waterfront in the frickin' world right out here. And, you know, we don't use that to our advantage as much as we should. And we have history here. We have an incredible history here. And, a lot of people don't even realize it. I'm gabbing, aren't I?
That's okay. Yes, cause you're the only one, so you get to.
Yeah, and, it's, and we can use that to all our advantage. I've become a local history buff, because of it. The potential here is really amazing. When you look at what other places have done with less, or less things to work with. You know, I hear it all the time. Oh, urban renewal, they tore our town down. Get over it, people, that was 50 years ago.
Now, we don't wanna have to get the
Get
gavel,
over it.
sir. We're gonna get that gavel.
No, I agree.
You know, let's work with what we have, because I was at,
Change is growth.
that's right. I was at the tree lighting, thing this past weekend, and Janice and I were talking to this gal that just moved here from the west side. I hear this story a lot. Oh, yeah, I'm from, you know, the west side of town. Oh, how do you like it here? Oh, I love it. Well, what brought you here? You know, oh, it was I think her daughter moved here or something. But people see this area, from the west side of town, Oakland County, they fall in love with it, you know? And, and part of my plan was to, you know, get more people, you know, coming here and looking at, looking at, making this a place for them, you know, why Algonac?
Why, yeah, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Artie,
Sure.
appreciate that.
We're gonna switch.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna skip, you're gonna go, I'm gonna have Councilman Bembas go last, since he's the most tenured councilman, and he hired the previous city manager.
10 years.
So,
Ooh.
but you've been on council longer than anybody, so I'm gonna have you go last, if you don't mind.
But
I
I'm gonna go back.
appreciate that, thank you for the honor.
So,
Yeah, I'm kind of, wow.
yeah, so,
Okay, to kind of, go off of what Wendy had said, I think that right now, what's in our faces that we need to, work on is the water rates, the issue with the rates. We need a rate study, which, an in-depth water rate study, like you had said before. You know, not a 5-year, a 10-year, because we got
20.
some.
You have to plan 20 years in advance on what you do with your water and sewer.
And along with that, looking at the ordinances again, to make sure that we are doing these in such a way to where instead of all of a sudden, we've gotta do something. Not do it that way, but have it written into an ordinance where, okay, we are going to make sure that these rates are increased according to inflation. And to make sure that we don't get in this position.
Yep, that's
Again.
fair.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cause we can't do this again. And a lot of communities are in the same situation that we are.
Yep, and the mistake, I'll tell you, the mistake Elginak made and a lot of other communities. We didn't touch our water rates since 2011, and we brag about that, and I'm like, okay, you can brag on it until it catches up with you,
Yeah, I heard that a lot from other,
and it will.
yeah, I heard that from other municipalities.
And, you know, in Clay, I bumped it up 2% a year, 1.5, 3%, whatever. And it was slow increments, and, you know, everyone gets their water bill, you know, but it's not a big, they're not double.
Right.
And like I say, then, in communication with the people on why and what for is essential.
Yeah, because you know, if we have a projection,
Yeah, you
then,
can,
cause East China,
you
for
guys have
example.
water work now, right?
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, we need
And I
an
will,
in-depth,
I will.
and a body in the building.
I will populate that, that's a very good tool.
Yes.
And I would actually use the same program for the water plant. And, you know, other things, you can convert it over for doing other things, for doing, you know, am I charging enough, you know, you put in inflation rates, and, you know, schedule when are we gonna replace what, when, and, it will map out what you should be charging.
Yeah, cause in East China, they got, you know, with,
Oh, yeah.
with DTE and with River District, hit them hard. And they had done an increase last year and another increase this year.
Yep. That's the
And-
problem, we don't have a lot of commercial
Exactly, thank
To
you, which is something I've been saying forever.
absorb, you know, the water usage. And be perfectly honest, when you're running a water plant, most of the, people don't realize this, most of the costs are fixed. You know, it doesn't really cost a whole lot of money to make 10,000 gallons more of water. I mean, it's pennies. Most of the costs are fixed. So you really need to, have some of your structure and your rates fixed cost, or fixed rates. You know, to bring service to your address costs X amount of dollars. You know, the variable part of making water water isn't a whole lot. And that's where people, they don't understand that, so, oh, heck, it's just me, I only flush the toilet once every other day, you know, why am I paying this much? It is the cost of the infrastructure to get the water to your house. That's where the heavy costs are.
And there, I believe it's 2029, where the contract between Clay
Yep.
and for water.
Yep.
You and Clay used to be supervisor there.
Yep.
Of course, we're not gonna have any issue when it comes time to sit down and open up
I
that
would hope not.
contract if you're still,
I would hope not.
cause that's gonna be one of those, you know, things where whole bunch, you know, there's gonna be some hits to be had.
I already know changes that should be done in this contract to make it a win-win. And I already know what needs to be done. And I'm not opposed to opening up early to make those win-wins happen. You know, to make Clay happy, to make Algonac happy.
Thank you. Cause that would be a good thing, make everybody happy. Not that it happens often. And one of my personal things, I really honestly truly believe that in order for us to go forward, you know, cause you gotta love the whole social media has changed everything, how things go these days. I think that there needs to be a very strong collaboration between administration and city council on a regular basis. Because, you know, I don't know if people know out there, I'm usually the one that's out there in social media taking a bunch of hits, which I have no problem with, as long as I have the answers.
Sure.
And I would love to see going forward quickly is to have once a month, every other month, where we set up work groups, open public work groups, where we sit to, you let us know, while the public is watching, you let us know what's going on, and we get to, through them, so everyone knows knows what things that we're working on, what things we wanna try, in order for
Ron?
good administration, good council,
There,
and
there are no secrets in government. When you try to make secrets, they smack you in the ass.
every time.
And you will be so sick of my manager's report at meetings. I always got razzed at Clay Township.
I've raised you.
You know, oh my God, here we go again. 25 minutes, you know, but I know council's learned from the many times on things going on.
Yes, I have.
From my supervisor's report while I was in Clay. And my goal is to never have you guys in the dark about anything.
That's very important.
And, I'll individually talk to you, hey, it's the best I communicate with you, email, phone call, text, all three, you know? We'll have to set up that type of communication as an individual, so,
And a bonus for me personally, you're probably gonna talk more to me, so that helps me out a little bit, just like,
maybe.
we'll see. And, yeah, that's pretty much what I got.
Councilman Carter?
You answered, a couple of the questions on what's facing, and that was very good. One of the things I hear a lot, and I don't entirely always agree with it, but I hear there's nothing for our kids to do. What kind of ideas would you maybe have?
I'm surprised it didn't come up, our community center. I think it should be, you know, things for kids to do, things for seniors to do. I already have relationships cultivated. By the time we're done, you're gonna wish that building was bigger. You know, right now you're thinking, how are we gonna fill this stuff up? I want things for young adults. You know, I plan on doing senior programs, kids programs, young adult programs, things for arts and music programs. You know, we've got a beautiful stage in there, utilize the stage. I'm gonna call Kathy and Tom Burton if I get this job. You know, they have their theaters, Suncoast Theaters. What do we gotta do to make this stage work? You know, I'll let them tell us. I plan on having, a relationship with 4-H. You all know I've been substitute teaching the past year. I learned a lot there. And, I have contacts in RISA to do programs, or tech programs. And, you know, I had wood shop and metal shop in that class, and it's a shame that, you know, we don't teach our kids that anymore. I would love it if I can, I'll call Wayne at some station boats and say, hey, Wayne, how would you like to sponsor a boat building seminars and teach kids how to fiberglass and rig boats and everything else? I'm sure he would be all about it, because they're having a hard time with labor. You know, it should be done right there for our locals here. It's a blue economy, right? We wanna make this a blue economy, my plans. You know, bring in the YMCA and other things to do things. Yeah, you know, I have tons of ideas. Like I told Rocky, it'd be fun, you know, we got the pool and the splash pad, let's take an afternoon in the middle of the week, we'll get a very inexpensive DJ or just put some music out. Let's have a little kids dance party, you know, in the splash pad, where they jump around and be silly and everything. Just programs like that. It doesn't cost anything, and it does a lot for people.
And for developmentally impaired adults, so they can all get together.
That's right.
Another thing we hear sometimes is, we didn't know about that, or communication, or like, nobody told us. What are some ideas you might have to improve communication with the citizens?
Do you guys even have a newsletter? I haven't seen it.
Back of
Back
the
of the
water
water
bill.
bill.
Back of the water bill?
Yeah.
I utilize that extensively, and maybe even doing some mailers occasionally. And just being out in the public, talking to people, and giving you the information and the tools so you can be the voice of the community too, when you're out in the public, you know. You guys are educated up on things, have information at your fingertips. You know, I'm only one guy, you're 7 people, and even give the power to our department heads and employees. Hey, you know, this is going on, you know, this could be kinda interesting, you might be interested in.
Thank you.
I like your plan about bringing in businesses and downtown development. How are you gonna utilize our waterfront to make it more enhanced for the people that wanna be a business in the business district?
Well, right in the beginning, we have to get people here. And the way you do that is events. And I put in several ideas for events. I can think of 4 or 5 off the top of my head. You know, it's amazing, the Elginak Rotary, they do that sipping,
No, yeah.
you know, thing. And what do they charge? I think it's like $50 a head. You know, I mean, it's steep.
Yeah.
To go and it sells out every time, 1,300 people, and you talk to the people there, most of them are from Oakland County and the other side of Macomb County, and they get here and they love it, you know? You know how to get someone in this bank next door, you know, I'd love to see a restaurant or
Yeah.
a brewery or something going in there with outside seating. We'll do weekly events right across the street where, you know, they could have, you know, we'll have a nonprofit put up, you know, do some music, and Rocky and I have talked about this. And, maybe we'll bring in Noble Mud, a local brewery and stuff. And, you know, sooner or later, people are like, my God, every Friday night, you know, this is full of people. I got an empty building here. Hey, maybe I'll put in a restaurant, you know? That's how it's done. And, let me tell you, when you get these people from the west side of town come out here, they love it here when they're, they love the river and sitting out here. Look at all the people that go to the Elginak State Park. That's the busiest park in the state. And why? Because they sit on the bench and watch the freighters go by. What do we have here for free? You don't need a campground.
And you have talked about, open and honest communication between yourself and us, the seven of us. That'll help greatly with us informing the public.
Yes.
And are you gonna be comfortable, already normally you are one of the seven, are you gonna be comfortable being as a manager and listening to seven people?
My job is to take direction from you, the city manager. That's the role. The manager's role is to make you guys look good. I don't need to be in the spotlight anymore. Call me the mushroom.
Come on.
I'm sure I'll be there a little bit, but,
Thank
you know, my job is to make you guys succeed. If you succeed, I succeed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If hired, how soon would you be starting?
I can start tomorrow, but I'll probably sleep in at 8:30.
That's all I have.
I'm gonna do mine and I'm gonna let you do yours. Thank you. Okay? How would you take direction from one member of council?
As long as it meets, I want the council to be unified on priorities and where we're going in the future. And that's very important that we all agree to it cohesively, and we do that through the budget process. And as long as it meets with the goals and the priorities that's set in the council, and if you don't have them, and you will, then it's a no-brainer. If it's something that's varies off of the goals set by, I say, the great ideas, and but we're gonna have to talk to it as a board.
Would you ensure that all members of council get all the same communication?
Oh, yeah. Like I said, there's no secrets. I've learned, there's no secrets, Now, Rocky, you being mayor, I may go to you first and then disseminate to everybody. But there's no secrets.
I would agree with that. And my last question is, what is your dream for Algonac? I mean, just what, if we're to hire you and you were to say, this is what I want to, what is your, I know, 5-year goal, what is your dream?
I would like to see the town prosper and grow, businesses. I would like to see more people living here. Maybe we can, do some, multi-use buildings here, like put, homes or something, residents on top of the businesses. I'd love to make this a more walkable town. And by doing that, I'm hoping to bring everybody, all the residents together to enjoy with, new prosperity, and the work, to live. A lot of bold people came from Algonac in the past, Garwood, Chris Smith, I could name several of them. And they came from here. We're bold people. And some people forget that. I tell this in the high school all the time, It's time for you guys to be bold and think of new ideas, be inventive, and that's what we have to do as a town. And, I plan on visiting every business in this town, my first month. Before my last interview, I think I told you guys, I had a cold wall, I had to buy a battery from MAP, and I walked in there and hey, Matt, $220, they're expensive. But, you know, he took care of me, in fact, it was under warranty and everything, and I love the guy, Matt. And, says, hey, I heard a rumor, you might be the city manager. I goes, well, that's going around, you know, no decision, but, you know, I told him I applied. And he goes, you know, nothing against Denise, she doesn't buy batteries. He goes, I've never met a city manager here in all the time I've been doing business here. And I thought that was kind of shocking. And believe me, that won't be the case if I'm hired.
Alright, Mr. Millis?
Okay, Mr. Bryson, we've asked about the job a lot, but I wanna ask you some questions that tell me who you are as a person, and maybe get into some of the minutia of the job. And I'm gonna go off script just a little bit. The three most important things we can do for our employees are develop, and develop.
Yep.
One day, me and you are gonna be retired in sunset, and we need to develop people like Mr.
Succession
Doan.
plan.
Succession plan.
Yep.
What is your succession planning? Cause I'd like to see Mr. Doan in a larger role, and maybe one day even be a city manager here.
Well, if Mr. Doan is willing to, I would definitely bring him on board and keep him in the loop of things. You know, he's a department head, he's gonna be involved in a lot of the decisions that are made and everything, and, we can definitely work on that. That would be great in my mind. You mentioned that, you know, we have a problem at the water plant, we can't hire people, can't find people. Why aren't we in the schools saying, that's a really good career?
Mhm.
And I bet you every year I could find one or two people that would say, you know, that might interest me. Let's get them in there, get them working in there on stuff, and we can start getting them certified while they're in high school, or, you know, a senior, you know. And I'd get Risa involved in that program, you know. That's gonna solve our labor. Well, you know, they might go someplace else. Well, yeah, they might.
And that's okay.
And that's okay, I hope they do great and make lots of money. Then you know what, they may come back too.
The other person is Alicia. I
Yeah.
think she has a bright future.
Yep.
I'd like to see her get the development, so one day, maybe she's city or she's working for a huge city, making a heck of a lot more money than we can pay her.
Yep.
But I'd expect the next city manager to take both of those people and the other employees as well
Mhm.
under his wing and develop them to their full potential.
Well, yeah, I agree 100%. That would be one of my things I'm gonna ask them, what do you guys wanna do here, you know?
Right.
If people think they're in a dead end job, they're gonna treat it as a dead end job.
That's right.
Exactly.
And we don't want ever have that culture here. Yeah, it doesn't work here. We like to hire within and promote within, and it's a lot smoother process.
Have you ever had to fire an employee?
Yes,
How did it make you feel?
well, not very good, but every employee I had to let go, they knew why, and ideally, they probably knew in advance, oh, I screwed up and this isn't gonna go well, and let them go. Doesn't happen all the time like that, but, you just have to do it, you know, and move on. You have to do what's best for the city, point blank.
Okay, now I'm gonna ask you to answer this question a specific way. With a situation, task, action, result. Okay? What do you consider your greatest project achievement is in your career, and how did you achieve it? So what was the situation, the task you took, or the action, and then the result of that? So you have, spell it out from one A to Z.
Project. We could do things in the park,
What have you done?
let's see,
What's your biggest, your greatest project that you're most proud of that you
Well, the park, you know, before I was city manager, township supervisor, I was on the DDA. And I actually made the motion to buy the property where the park sits. And we've been developing it and developing it and developing it. And it's a great asset to our community. You know, we did it through the budget process with the DDA and working with the township. You know, I got grants for, well, there's one I can't talk
Yeah,
about.
you can't talk about it.
And then a couple more for, exercise equipment and other things. And that paid for, the DDA put in pickleball courts. And everything in that park is very well thought out and very, it's all first class. You know, there's nothing substandard there. And, so I'm proud of that park. And, you know, if I'm having a bad day, I'll take a drive over there and see all the kids playing on the playscapes and running around the splash pad, and it gives you a good energy. You know, that's one thing that I did, you know, from beginning to end. Of course, I won't be able to see the end product or be there for the end product, but, you know, we had infrastructure problems over there. I started in 2018 doing research and engineering on how to correct it. Got a SAW grant, you know, went to work and got various federal and state grants to help pay for it and everything. And, you know, that, you know, it was all engineered and everything. But I'm not there now to see the end finish job. There's issues there now.
So what were some of the maybe roadblocks that you encountered, and how did you overcome those roadblocks?
Regulatory, usually, and, you know, I have a pretty good, relationship with Eagle, and, I mean, Eagle's a huge monster, but, you know, in different divisions in Eagle, and the DNR, and the EPA, about how to do workarounds and, you know, how the roadblocks, you know, to get around the roadblocks. You know, I'm very versed at that.
Okay. Now, we all know you have a larger than life personnel, and it's appreciated. But understanding that you're gonna work for council, are you comfortable having to take a back seat?
Oh, yeah. You
Okay,
can call
cause
me
that's a
the-
big change.
No, you can call me the mushroom.
You offer.
Okay,
Like I explained before, my job is to make you look good
right,
and to give you all the information that you need to make the right decisions, good and bad. You know, what's the consequences? And, you know, and that would be my goal.
do you understand the rules of fraternization with employees and council, and what may be perceived as a conflict of interest?
I'm sorry,
I can't pronounce it too well.
Fraternization.
Thank you.
Fraternizing.
Fraternization
with
council or employees? Are you aware?
oh
How it
yeah,
works,
I mean, you know, let's face it, we're all friends.
Mhm. And that's gonna, I guess what I'm saying
You
is that's
can't
gonna
get
have
around
to
it.
change
Right.
a little
You
bit.
can't get around it, you know? Everybody has to, and I'll flat out tell people, look, I'm talking as city manager now, not as,
Right.
you know, your buddy. And everybody has to be able to separate that, you know, in certain cases. But yeah, whatever's best for the city definitely comes first.
Cause there's gonna have to be if we hire you, a little bit
Yep.
of a different divide.
Oh,
that
yeah.
we're not used to, like I can't invite you over for Thanksgiving dinner anymore, not that I ever have. But those kind of things are gonna change a little bit.
Right.
Are you okay with that?
Oh yeah, for sure, as long as you bring leftovers.
Okay. The city manager does the hiring of employees and the firing of employees, but are you comfortable with city council having veto power or at least a say-so in anyone that you may hire who has local roots, like lives in Algonac or Clay, or again, is that friend thing because of your closeness with
I
everybody?
think I hire them, but don't I have to get approval from city council?
Depends.
Depends,
For department heads.
Yes.
Yes.
depends.
You know, I probably put out in the communication, hey, we're looking at hiring this person.
Okay, cause I think, in my humble opinion, and we could vote on this at a separate meeting, it would be important. Cause some of the feedback I get from the public is what I'm expressing, is that if we are hiring people we already know, we wanna make sure we're passing the smell test.
Yes.
And that's why I asked
I
that.
get that, but you know, you're in a small community.
I know, absolutely. And that way, if we have to say so, it's off your
If I
shoulders and
personally
on
know
us.
somebody and I know they do a good job, should I not hire them?
I'm not saying that.
No, I know, but
I'm not
that's,
saying that, we should hire him, the
We
best
should
person
hire
for
him.
the best job,
right,
but I would ask that, are you comfortable coming to us and
Yes.
saying, I wanna hire
oh yeah,
so-and-so who I went to high school with?
oh yeah, no problem. And, you know, it's gonna be based on their qualifications. And when, you know, see, by knowing them, you have a good idea what their work ethic is.
Mhm.
And that's very important. And if they're gonna fit in our culture of what we have here, that's important too.
It's not personal, it's business.
Exactly. Now, and just, again, uncomfortable subjects. Will you be running for Clay Township Supervisor again?
You know, I was under oath about 3 weeks ago, and I was asked that question, and my answer was, oh, hell no.
Okay. How long do you think you would stay with us if we hired you? Because,
I would like to at least do 7, 8 years.
Okay.
This is my last job,
Mhm.
you know, and, you know, like I said in the beginning, I turned down a lot of good jobs because this was coming up. And this is more of a job. I don't know if you realize the turnover of city managers, you know, Lexington, they called me.
Yeah, I was-
Lexington called me, Artie, we want you to apply. I applied, then I withdrew. In 25 years, they've gone through 19 managers.
Yes, they have.
Dundee, which they tried to hire me, 5 years, 3 managers. It's Croswell, same issues. I'm sure you see it around city managers. It is important you hire somebody local. And that's why, you know, Denise stuck around. Before Denise,
it was every other year?
every other year, Elginak was looking for a city manager, and how do you get on a path of success and cohesive? You don't, you know? A stranger coming in this job is gonna take them at least a year just to figure out
Yeah.
things. And then, to do this job right, you have to develop relationships. And, then, oh, no, they're off for greener pastures or this or that, and, it doesn't work.
Are you comfortable continuing Denise's salary expectations?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah, yeah.
Okay, I think that's all I have.
I do wanna make sure that everybody understands when he says that he's not supposed to talk about this grant, it's just a thing between him and I, because Clay got the Spark grant that we didn't get.
Yeah, there were
That he
six-
told me before a benefit that I was doing one night to laugh at.
Yeah, there were 650 applicants, and the first round, they picked 27 of them, and Clay was one of them.
Yeah, before my event, he filled me in on
Yeah,
that.
like
Yeah.
when we were there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, so he's never allowed to talk about that grant when I'm in his presence. So I don't want anybody to think anybody signed anything.
Is it almost over?
Yeah, so, yes, I think so.
Alright, so at this
We're
point,
close.
does any other councilman have any other questions? Alright, Ms. Bug, could you escort him to the isolation chamber.
Good idea.
Where there's cookies.
Thank you, Mr.
Oh,
Bryson.
yeah, wait a minute.
So I get to have a cookie.
We don't get cookies, stop.
Give him a minute to,
Lock it in.
that way he's out of your shot. Alright, I will open it up to discussion at this point.
I would like to make a motion to extend an offer of employment for the position of city manager to R.D. Bryson and direct the city manager to draft and negotiate the terms of employment agreement.
Second.
Alright, well, there's
Any
still discussion. We're still
Any
Now we're
discussion?
open, now let's go to discussion. Who would like to start?
I would like to say I was probably very cynical. As you know, I've talked to several different council people over this process, and he's changed my mind on a lot of different things just by him speaking and the points that he made, developing the downtown, the sewers, everything that is important to us. So I guess I've changed my mind
Okay.
to the positive.
I think it's a great investment in the community of Algonac because he's local, he knows our infrastructure, he knows the player at the county, the state, the federal government. He'll be able to help us with grants, bring in business, attract everything. So I think this will be a very good decision.
I like the familiarity that he has already, with our organization, with our departments. Water department's a big thing, but the connections he has in the county, if we bring in somebody else, state, county, it's gonna take them a while to develop those relationships, and he can hit the ground running.
Alright. This side? Anybody?
Yeah, I mean, he answered everything well. I like the fact that he understands succession planning. He threw the word out there. I didn't know if he'd know that. Most important thing we can do is have somebody who's ready to set up the next generation.
Yes.
Because, I mean, with all due respect, Mr. Scarbeck, 10 years from now, will probably be the senior member up here and we'll be gone, so we've gotta prep the city for the next generation. I did like,
Real government and.
I did like that from him. He's knowledgeable. He, has the experience. He knows the players well. I do have, not a big concern, but a small concern, Mr. Bryson, because see, I'm already like Artie, it's not Artie, it's Mr. Bryson. He's got a new divide that we're gonna have to work with
Yes,
together,
right.
that he understands he's in a different role.
I brought it up.
And we've got to make sure that with us and all of his friends, I think he knows more people in Algonac than you do, Mr. Mayor.
I know.
And that's a lot of people. So we've gotta make sure that that is different.
Yeah, and that's.
And we can do that, I'm not
Yes.
saying we can't do that,
No,
I'm just saying
and
that's
we-
one of the things we have
And
to
we
look
can,
at.
and it's our responsibility.
It is.
It is our responsibility. I think where we are now, we need to have a very strong collaboration and working relationship between administration and council.
Yeah.
Because it's council that has to answer to the residents. And if we don't know what's going on in the office, how are we gonna tell you guys what's going on?
And that goes back to where he's saying, you know, I'll go visit all the businesses, that's fine, but you know what? That's actually our
We gotta-
job.
Well, we have
And
to,
not his.
it's
That's-
very, very important, because like, you know, I can't give anyone an answer if I don't know the answer. It is incredibly important that there is a very, very open and good working relationship between administration and council. And I believe that, that's what we will get. Now, me being me, should I feel the need to go into his office if we hire him and put my feet up on the desk and say, look, buddy, I got no problem doing that. That's it.
I agree with you, Dawn, regarding, we have to create that good communication gap with council and administration, cause he's gonna be like our liaison. But I also think too that moving forward with Artie, I think he won't engage in negative talk about council members with staff or employees. I think that will change. I don't think that, that will hinder on, his thought of where we stand. I like the fact that about the, infrastructure, having a long-term goal to increase these water sewer rates, because from all the notes that I have, it's always been put back on the past city council, but I feel that the past city council has always been kept at arm's length away. They were only on a need-to-know basis, and that's only information they really got when it became of why we never did anything since 2011. So I think, Artie would be more open and transparent and, forthcoming with us.
No.
You too.
I'm gonna go with just a couple things. I believe that relationships are the biggest things that, as far as at the state and county and federal level, they're the biggest things that you need in order to get the grant money, to get things happening. He already has those relationships. If we hired someone else, it would be a year that we would be waiting for those relationships to be made. And, you know, you could pay a salary for skills, but you cannot buy heart. And I really believe that this man has the best interest of this area in his heart. You know, any of us, if any of us were to, say if any of us were ever out there, you know, elections are popularity contests, all of us at one time may lose one. That doesn't change the way the skill set that somebody has. And I don't believe, you know, I think that that's a separate animal. And with that, I think I'm going to go for a roll call, please.
Councilman Memphis,
Yes.
Councilman Carter,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Davey,
Yes.
Mayor Gillis,
Yes.
Councilwoman Harris.
Yes.
Councilwoman Melton,
Yes.
Councilman Scarpet.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We have a new city manager.
At the meeting, you do.
All right.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Take the hits.
Do we want to do a quick council comments? Is everybody good?
No, I appreciate it.
All right. Well, I think we are good with that. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Well, no, bring them out.
Oh, no, we don't want, we're gonna let you sit there and.
Okay, well, you can bring it, you can bring it
Lock
up.
them in the building or what?
I'm sorry.
We'll bring him out in an hour after the lights are down.
Yeah, there you go.
He's not done with his cookie.
No.
Yeah, no.
Mr. Downing, if you could, work with Mr. Bryson and get that scheduled.
Yes, in fact, I've spoken with the clerk about, there are a couple of bureaucratic moves that have to be made in terms of a background check, some health issues that have to be worked through, just people.
Right.
And we have to put him on
As soon as
the
that's,
rack first.
as soon as that's put together, we'll have something to council, I hope, in time for next week's regular meeting.
Don't we have to like put him on a rack first and turn the screws a little?
I can do that.
See, this is what I'm saying. Thank you, I appreciate that immensely.
All right, guys, excuse me for just one moment.
Okay.
Please.
Ah!
Bad news.
Yeah.
You got the job.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Mr. Bryson.
Everybody for your support.
At this point.
We'll see you, Joey. See ya.
Merry Christmas, dear.
Aye.
Hi.